Yep. Inside, I want to kill myself. We are on an 0-7 run over the last 2 days. After tonight was just complete bullshit. So that's how I'm going to start off this show. Horrible Sunday, 1-5. I don't even know what to tell you about that. I just don't want to do this anymore. I have never seen anything like this, man. With the slump continuing, 2 straight losses, not a good day at all. 0-4. I just have not had a good season, man. What can this slump that I'm on? The slump continues. I've reached a new peak, actually. I'm going to burn my Bruins hat, man. I don't know what is going on with the Bruins. March 8th, is that what it is? I don't even know. It's March 9th, I think. Who even knows, man? I don't know what day it is anymore. I don't even know what day it is anymore, man. Back with you after the worst day that I could possibly have. Back with you, as I always am. Until I die, at least. 0-2 yesterday, and yesterday did not go well for me. 0-5. The worst month that I've ever had in my 18 years doing this. I don't know what to even tell you about this anymore. Broke the slump yesterday as the slump just continues. The slump continues. Somebody fucking kill me, please. I don't even know what I should do at this point other than potentially end it all. What's up, everybody? It's Toad back with you. I was sharing my screen still. Oops. Back with you. I was watching myself because I like to make sure my audio's right. Let me actually make sure of that. That must have been weird, right? It was like Toadception there. This is the NFL show. All right, we're good. This is the NFL show for week 2, baby. Week 1, mixed bag. We were 2-2 in the NFL. I mean, a loser, 2-2. We got to get better, obviously. Week 1 tends to be kind of difficult. Week 2 tends to be overreaction week, so we'll talk about that. Charles, what's up, man? You're watching the UFC. Yeah, I mean, Canelo. I mean, that's on Netflix, or not? Yeah, it is Netflix, right? I don't even know, man. I think it is on Netflix tonight, but yeah, I haven't been paying any attention to that. I have not delved into the UFC enough, but it seems like it is a big fight card tonight. I assume the main fight should be soon, right? Like the main event, because it's already past midnight my time. I'm gonna try to get all the NFL done. Oh, it's boxing. Yeah, I'm an idiot. Why was I thinking UFC? Yeah. Boxing. I don't know shit, man, about fighting. I've made a few like fighting plays, but typically I do not. Today we had a winning day today on the show. We're 4-2 today. I'd like it to be a little bit better than that. College football, I mean, we're kind of off to the races with college football. We're winning in college football now after going 3-1 today. So we're 3-2 this week. So I believe we're up in college football, right? I think we're just above 500 right now. But we're gonna keep going, man. Temple was the loser today. What can you do? Oklahoma blew them out. Temple just didn't do anything offensively. Missouri State, that was a nice winner. They jumped out to a 10-0 lead, and I'm thinking, man, can Missouri State actually win this game outright? They made some mistakes after that, though. They fell behind 14-10, and then I had the game on. It was on CBS Sports, was doing all these live look-ins for, I don't know which channel it was actually on, but they kept going to that game. And Missouri State, they fell down 14-10, I think in the third quarter. They drove all the way downfield, and I think they wound up turning it over on downs. They actually had, I think they first had a turnover on downs that was negated by a pass interference, and I'm like, oh, they're going to score here and retake the lead. And then I think they turned it over. They either turn it over or turn it over on downs again. I'm like, what the fuck? And I think they just never scored again. They lost 28-10, but they still covered the plus 28. Miami was basically a no-sweat winner, even though there was a lightning delay in that game. I'm sick of the lightning delays, man. I'm sick of it. I know it's Florida, but, I mean, somebody could tell me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we've seen anywhere close to this amount of weather delays, lightning delays, ever in football. It seems like it's like 7 every day, basically. And it just completely throws off the offense. So I was worried about that. It went into a lightning delay in the second quarter, I think when Miami was up 14-3. And I'm like, what if that throws off their offensive rhythm and they don't get it back? I mean, I hate that shit. Although Miami did wind up winning and covering. They won in pretty much a blowout. And then Vandy was also a winner for us in an even bigger blowout. The points didn't even matter, man. So I always mentioned that you should sprinkle the money line on these plays, man. Like Vandy at a +3 price. Like put most of the bet on the spread, yeah, but on that one, you got to put like 10% on the money line, man, because it's a small spread. You're basically saying you think that they're pretty likely to win the game outright. So they won easy in a blowout. South Carolina, they are not good, man. I told you going into that game, they've just thrived on defensive and special teams touchdowns, and that is not what they were able to do in that game. Vandy just destroyed them. And then baseball was 1-1. The over didn't get there in the Rangers-Mets. Not even really close, but there were a lot of hits in that game, dude. Like, I looked late in the game, and it was a 2-2 game, and there were like 18 hits in the game. How do you only have 4 runs total off of 18 hits? I mean, seemed pretty unlucky to me in some ways. Like, Patrick Corbin, his stat line, he allowed like a lot of hits and a couple of walks, I think, and he somehow only allowed 1 run, I think. And I think it was unearned, too. I'm like, what? I don't understand it, man. Like, he put so many guys on base. I don't really get it, but whatever. And then we did get the win with Cleveland, barely. We scooped it on that one. They were able to win, I believe, 3-1. So they covered the run line, baby. They won run line and money line. Let's get into the NFL, man. Co-main event just ended. All right, 4-2. Yeah, it's a winning day. I mean, I'll take it. I mean, I'm not going to complain too much, but we need to keep winning, man. Baseball has been really, really bad recently, man. I just don't get it because usually I do pretty well. We'll see what happens with tomorrow's baseball. And the Red Sox are probably not going to make the playoffs, so that's fucking awesome, too. No, absolutely not. We do not need domed stadiums, no. I don't want the NFL to turn into some arena bullshit. It's supposed to be like gladiatorial combat, man. It's supposed to be in the fucking elements, in the weather. I've never seen anything like this before. There was a lightning delay in, was it in the Wisconsin-Alabama game there might have been? I don't know. There were multiple lightning delays. I'm like, it's every single football slate now it happens, man. It's just, man, it pisses me off. Let's get into the NFL. I'm going to give out 3 plays in the NFL, and we're just going to run through it, man. We're going to run through the entire board here. So let's go. Why not? Patriots, Dolphins. I'm going to go in order of how they are on the betting board here. Dolphins down for a 2.5-point favorite to a 2-point favorite. By the way, I will point out that in the NFL week 2, as I point out, it's overreaction week. So that means that a lot of times the market and especially the public will overreact to what they saw in week 1. And you only have 1 game results. So you kind of want to temper that, and you actually want to more often than not, you want to fade what happened in week 1. You want to go against the overreaction because you're usually getting value by going against the overreaction. And typically, 0-1 teams against 1-0 teams, the 0-1 teams cover more often than they don't. So I'll put that out there as well. So generally, if you have a matchup between a 1-0 team and an 0-1 team, straight up, I think generally you want to look to the 0-1 team to cover the spread, which kind of plays into that same idea, right? Like a 1-0 team, there might be an overreaction that, this team looked really good last week. The 0-1 team, this team looked really bad, that type of thing. But anyway, let's get into it. Patriots, Dolphins. These teams both didn't look good in week 1. The Dolphins are down for a 2.5-point favorite to a 2-point favorite at home. Interesting number with the odds makers telling you that they think the Patriots are the better team, basically, because Miami's basically not even getting home field here. And the money has come in on the Patriots. 57% of tickets on them, 59% of the cash coming in on the Patriots. And I don't disagree with it. This is certainly not going to be one that I'm going to give out a play. Oh, by the way, I forgot to put it out, man. The breakdown. This is the breakdown segment. Yeah. But yeah, I would lean to the Patriots in this game slightly, even though I know the biggest overreaction here is that Miami sucks, basically, right? Like, they had a terrible game against Indianapolis, and it wasn't even really that misleading. I mean, Indianapolis just blew them out of the building. My Indianapolis Colts, because I root for the Colts. The Colts, I mean, maybe it was slightly skewed on the scoreboard because I think the Colts were +2 in turnovers as well in the game or something like that. Miami just couldn't do anything right, though. This Miami offense with Tua and whatever, they couldn't get anything going in that game. And I'm not sure that Miami is really any good, man. Tua, he might not be that good. I know he had some of his moments, but I'm just really not so sure, man. And then the Patriots, of course, they lost to the Raiders in their home opener, which I did lean to the Raiders in that one. I thought the Raiders would be more ready to go in that first game with their new coach. I would say that I think the Patriots do have a coaching mismatch, though, in this game against Miami. I think Mike McDaniel, whatever his name is, from Miami, he's a dumbass, dude. Like, he is not a good coach. So I think with Mike Vrabel, even though the Patriots are still trying to adjust to his system or whatever, I think Vrabel, like, when he's on, I mean, it's a huge coaching mismatch there. Vrabel, the much, much better coach here. So that has something to do with it, I would say, as well. Both teams looked ugly, though, even though I know Miami looked uglier than the Patriots did. I'm going to lean to the Patriots, man. I actually think the Patriots, they probably have the better defense. I mean, Miami's defense, really not good. You got to look at the injury report, too, because I know the Patriots were without one of their best defensive players last week, which was Christian Gonzalez. Looks like he might still be out. Yeah, he's going to miss this game, too, so he is out. But I still think the Patriots are still going to win, man. That would be my opinion in this one. What was that I saw up here? Tua has a perfect record against the Patriots, though. So if you like the Patriots, you are basically fading that. I know you're taking 2 points, but you're basically saying the Patriots will win the game if you do that. So Tua has never lost to the Patriots, apparently, but I think it'll happen in this game. I would lean to the Patriots, like I said. A medal breakdown for the what do you mean? Have a you want some audio on that? You mean, right? Metal music with the graphic there. Yeah, I could think about that. Yeah, Hawk Tua. That was my team's name last year. Actually, I had Tua on my fantasy team as one. I tend to like. I began streaming quarterbacks in my main league because I think whoever I had got hurt, whatever. Tua was one of the quarterbacks I picked up, and I changed my team's name to Hawk Tua. And I had 8chan, so I think it was Secret 8chan Man before that. I think it might have been Stop 8chan Hate before that as well. But now my team this year is Sutton on the dock of the bay, because I have Cortland Sutton, and I'm not streaming quarterbacks in my main league this year. I have Patrick Mahomes, which he did fine for me in week 1. I know he's probably going to have some weeks where he doesn't do well, but I don't have a whole lot else to say on that Patriots-Dolphins game, though. I mean, it is interesting, though, that Tua has never lost to the Patriots, but, I mean, I don't think there's a whole lot that you can really take away from that. I mean, the Patriots, they've just been a bad team throughout most of that span, and they're probably a little bit better this year than they have been. Chris Chan hate. No, you can hate him all you want. Jags, Bengals. We see a lot of line movement on this one. The Bengals have dropped from a 6-point favorite to a 3-point favorite. 73% of tickets, 61% of the cash. The money is coming in towards the Jaguars. Professional bettors, a lot of respect for the Jaguars in both weeks so far. Jaguars, they do look like they're fairly good. I mean, they got Trevor Lawrence back. They got young talent on that offense around them, and they looked solid in week 1, but it was a home game against Carolina, and Carolina's not good. Carolina, I think, had some turnovers in that game, too, that made it look even worse. Although their offense, I'm pretty sure, really stunk in that game, and I'm not sure that the Jags' defense is really that good. But it is probably the better defense over Cincinnati. Cincinnati's defense is one of the worst in football, I would say, man. Even though they didn't look that bad last week, they were against the hapless Browns. And Joe Flacco's old. He didn't look good. And Cincinnati still almost lost that game. So I can see this going multiple different ways here, man. This is not going to be a play for me. But if you take into account the fact that Jacksonville has the better defense and they're getting points, I always say that is something to consider. Like, that is the way that I would tend to want to look in a particular game. If you get the better defense getting points, that is the way that I would want to look, generally. So you get that with Jacksonville. But with Cincinnati, they might actually refocus here because they didn't play well against Cleveland. They should have lost that game. I'm pretty sure it came down to Cleveland. Like, what, did they miss a field goal at the end of the game or something? Cleveland was winning the game late in the game, and I'm pretty sure Cleveland had a shot to win the game at the end, man. But Joe Flacco, I mean, his numbers actually didn't look too bad, I guess. He actually outperformed Joe Burrow. Burrow was terrible in the game. I don't know what that was, man. Burrow 14 for 23. So it looks like the Browns' defense actually can play. Burrow, yeah, just an awful game. It's really interesting how Cincinnati just continues to be awful in September. They just get off to really, really slow starts, man. Luckily for them, they won the game because 3 years in a row, I think they lost the first game of the season. Luckily for them, they got to play one of the worst teams in the NFL in the Browns here, man. I know they started Joe Burrow in the preseason games this year to try to get over that hump and try to really focus on winning that first game, and they still almost lost the game. So in a way, you could argue, Cincinnati's going to refocus and do better here. I'm not entirely sure about that because Cincinnati under Zach Taylor, who I don't think is a good coach at all, not the former president, Zachary Taylor, who'd probably be a better coach, actually, than Zach Taylor. With him and Joe Burrow, Cincinnati has a really, really bad record in September, man. They're like, I don't know, I think they're 3 for their last 10 against the spread or something like that in September. It's just not good, and they lose a lot of the games straight up, too. I might have that number wrong, but it's something around that. So it's bad, man. I think most of their September games with Joe Burrow. So they don't play well, and the public is still on Cincinnati because I think the public is just thinking, well, we know who Cincinnati is, and there's no way that they can play 2 really bad games in a row, right? And people just don't think the Jags are any good at all just because they haven't done anything for multiple years now. But Trevor Lawrence has been hurt now, recently, and right now he's healthy. So I could definitely see Jacksonville competing in this game. I would probably lean that way because that is the market read there. And when, you have kind of conflicting situational angles to look at a game, I would tend to resort to what the market is doing. That is a significant move that went through key numbers there, 4 and 3.5. You would probably still get a 3.5 on Jacksonville if you do want that. The Battle Cats, yeah. That is who they are, man, the Jaguars. Browns-Ravens, this is a game that almost was a play for me. I like the Browns plus the points in this one. As bad as that sounds, I know Joe Flacco wasn't really terrific in that game. He did throw 2 interceptions, which made his QBR pretty bad in that game. And it was against a pretty bad Bengals defense, I know. But the one thing that gives me hesitation in this one is the fact that the Browns almost pulled off that huge win in their home opener. So they could be hung over a little bit, having to travel to Baltimore. They're still going to get up for it. It's always a big game in the division, man. So I still think Baltimore's in the worst spot, but I have a little bit of hesitation there again because I think Cleveland's in a little bit of a bad spot too. When I first saw the spot for Baltimore, I was like, oh man, I want to fade Baltimore here because it is kind of a sandwich spot. But Cleveland having to bounce back up off the mat after almost winning in their home opener against Cincinnati, which would have been huge. They played a really tough game. They're going to have to keep that effort two games in a row. It's going to be a little bit difficult, but I know Baltimore, they are in the worst spot, man. I mean, they had that total collapse against Buffalo. That was a huge game for Baltimore on the road at Buffalo. Now it's going to be a shorter turnaround time for them because they played that game on Sunday night. So Cleveland has a little bit more time to rest here, even though they do have to travel. Both teams have to travel because Baltimore has to come home from Buffalo. Baltimore had that game, man. That was a huge game, including the fact that it was revenge because Buffalo beat Baltimore in that same stadium in Buffalo last year to knock them out of the playoffs. So it was a huge revenge spot for Baltimore, too. And they looked like there was no chance they were going to lose that game. Baltimore pretty much dominated the game. They dominated the game statistically. They had the game in hand. They were winning the game 40-25 with 4 minutes left. And then what happened? They gave up a touchdown to Buffalo. Derrick Henry fumbled at the most inopportune time possible. Buffalo scored again, and then Buffalo got the ball back one more time, I think, and wound up winning with a field goal. Because I think prior to that, they were trying for the tie with a 2-point conversion, and they missed that. And then they wound up getting the game-winning field goal to win the game. Just an epic collapse by Baltimore. So I think it's going to be difficult for them to get back up off the mat after that, man, even though it is their home opener. It's the Browns. I mean, do you really get up for the Browns that much? I don't really know, man. I think Cleveland will actually probably be the more motivated team here. Baltimore, I think it's a game where maybe it's just kind of get in, get out. They think it's going to be kind of an easy game against Cleveland. And who do they have up next? They got to play Detroit and then Kansas City. So those are 2 big games, man, coming up next after this. So they know those 2 teams are good. So this looks like a down spot in their schedule. So I would lean to Cleveland plus the points. The money is agreeing with that. It's down from 12.5 to 11.5. I think there were some 13s out there for a bit. 89% of tickets 74% of the cash on the Ravens. So the public is on the Ravens. The cash is less so. So yeah, I would take the points with the Browns. The total's fairly low as well, in the mid-40s there. So Browns, I mean, they're way better defensively than offensively. I know the Ravens have a really prolific offense. I know they have one of the best offenses in the NFL. That is true. But if the Browns come and they play defense, man, if they jizz on the field, this Browns defense does have the ability to slow the Ravens down a bit, at the very least. So, and in a spot where the Ravens might not be totally paying attention, that is the way that I would lean. A wild pick, yeah. I mean, well, that's what I do. I go contrarian, like almost all the time. Yes, sir. That's almost a play for me, by the way. That was really close. Like that's one of the first ones that I'm leaving off of my card here. When I first saw that Ravens spot, I wanted to do it. Man, it's a commercial over here. I think I have the Minnesota and Cal game on. It's the late night degenerate special or whatever the hell is going on over there at Cal. It looks like a really ugly game. I think I picked Minnesota in some of my pick'ems that are ones that are just not worth money, but I think they were losing last I saw. Yeah, dildo predictions. I mean, the first dildo that was thrown in the regular season was in Chicago, so I don't know. I mean, there should be some props on that. Predictions, I get it. We'll see where it goes from there, man. Giants, Cowboys. This is kind of a weird one, man, where the Cowboys moved up from a 3-point favorite to a 5.5-point favorite. And I will say that you do have to look at the look-ahead lines, too. So I'm actually going to pull those up. I forgot, the look-ahead lines. This is kind of made me think of that. So it's like where was the line, before the first week games are played? You know what I mean? So the look-ahead lines can tell you, where the biggest overreactions were, especially in week 2, if that makes sense. You want to basically, there are sites that will just track them. You can go look for week 2 NFL look-ahead lines, and what they will show you is what were the lines in these games before the week 1 games are played, and now you can see where the lines are now, so you can see where were the biggest overreactions. And there wasn't really much of an overreaction in that Browns-Ravens game, by the way. It was still minus 2.5. Let me see, some of the other games. The Bengals were minus 5.5, which is kind of where they open. This Giants-Cowboys game was just minus 3. So basically these openers that you see here are basically where those numbers were. So, yeah, and the Patriots are minus 2.5. I don't know if I want to just, call out all the look-aheads, but basically I think the openers that you see here were actually kind of the look-ahead lines. So I think that's what we're seeing here. So that's kind of a crazy move from 3 to 5.5, and it was all kind of just based off of what we saw, because I don't think that was the money doing that, because the Cowboys, I mean, they're very public, 89% of tickets, only 88% of the cash. So the public is definitely coming in on the Cowboys here, because they looked fairly good in week 1 on an isolated primetime game. The Giants looked like ass yet again, so the public is just coming in on the Cowboys here. I mean, I think it's more that they want to fade the Giants more so than play the Cowboys, but the Cowboys did look fairly good in week 1. And they were a winner for me on the show. They were my first winner that we had of the NFL season, covering the spread there in that lightning delayed game, lightning tinged game. Yeah, Minnesota is losing this game. It's a close game in the third quarter, though. 10-7 Cal over here. But anyway, yeah, so I think the 3 was the look ahead, which is interesting. So basically just based off of week 1's results, the Cowboys are now teetering on being a 6-point favorite. So I think the value is on the Giants, man. As ugly as that seems, that's the way I would look. I would fade the public again in this one. I mean, more often than not, that's what I'm going to want to do. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know if I have a whole lot to say about that. Otherwise, the Cowboys, I know they have extra time off to rest. That is true. But sometimes when you play a big game, that was their season opener. They played the Eagles really tough. Sometimes when you come off of a big game like that, having that extra time off doesn't actually help you that much. And the Giants, they're going to be totally embarrassed, man. And that was an embarrassing performance in week 1. I know it's a second straight road game. That is a fairly difficult spot to be in. But they were the team that looked way, way worse, man. And again, the line value at the very least is going to be on the Giants here. Again, the number was going to be 3 prior to week 1's game. So, which is kind of crazy to think about, that the odds makers are basically saying the Cowboys are almost even with the Giants power ratings wise and basically just giving them home field. I think the Cowboys really get less than 3 for home field, though. I think they get about 2.5 for home field at most. The Cowboys don't have a very good home field advantage. It's a very cavernous stadium, and it doesn't get very loud there. I would lean to the Giants, but man, I mean, if Russell Wilson is back out there, I got some issues with that, man. So yeah, I don't know, man. Russell Wilson was so bad. They're gonna have to get rid of. They're gonna have to pull him, man. They're gonna have to get Jackson Dart out there, man, soon. So we will see there, but. All that being said, I do think the Giants have the better defense of the two. I know I said that when they were up against the Redskins too, but the Giants do have a decent defense, at least a decent front seven there. The Cowboys are a somewhat one-dimensional offense. They can't run the ball that well, so the Giants might be able to kind of slow that Cowboy offense down. Cowboys, recent history, they also don't do that well as a home favorite either because they're the Cowboys. They tend to be overvalued quite a bit at home, so they don't do that well at covering as a favorite at home, or they weren't for at least a while. Up until I think maybe they stopped being overvalued a little bit when they started playing a little bit worse. Yeah, the masses are asses. You want to fade the masses, man. Script writers have the Cowboys having a good season. Well, in my preview that I did with Clint, I had the Cowboys getting the last playoff spot in the NFC, so we will see. But I haven't watched that documentary yet. I was actually just about to start it, so after I finish this video, I might actually watch some of it. But we got to get this done, man. We got to keep going. I haven't given out any of my plays yet, of course. These next 2 games are both plays for me, though. Rams, Titans, and Bills, Jets, so be prepared, man. Bears, Lions. We have another game. We're still in the 1 p.m. Eastern slate here. Another interesting one. We have a lot of divisional games here. It felt like there were a lot last week, too. Lions up from 4.5 to 6.5 here, which, again, I think that's not really the money doing, and I think that's the overreaction from week 1 again, so which doesn't even make sense, right? Because it's basically just, if that's the overreaction, if that was the, let me see if that was the opener. I think it was. I think that's what we're looking at here. I think we're seeing what all the look-aheads were here. Like I said, I'm trying to find it here. Yeah, it was 4.5. I see it right here. I have it. I have the documents. I have it right here. So, yeah. So that is crazy. So there was just that big of a line move. Even though the Lions looked bad against the Packers, they lost to the Packers. The Bears, I guess, looked so bad on Monday night, blowing that game against the Vikings, that the line moved up to 6.5, which is crazy, and it's teetering on that key number 7. 83% of tickets, only 69% of the cash on the Lions. So the Lions are public. The money's coming in against the Lions. Oh, man. I mean, I have a really hard time recommending the Bears in this game, though. I mean, they're on a short week coming off Monday night. It was ugly, though, and sometimes when teams look too ugly on Monday night, even though they're on a short week, sometimes they are the way that you want to look in that next game. And you know the Bears will get up for this. It's a divisional game at Detroit. You got to figure Detroit's going to get up for it, too, though, because Detroit, that was a bad game, man. I mean, they looked really bad on offense. Jared Goff looked lost without Ben Johnson there, and I didn't mention him when I talked about these picks, but I'm kind of mad that I didn't give out Green Bay as a play because some of the professional bettors that I follow actually did have Green Bay as a play. Like they added it to their card. Green Bay, pretty easy win for them, but Detroit's offense was really bad in that game. I think Green Bay's defense is solid, as we saw. Their defense was solid against slowing down the Redskins. So Green Bay's played some good defense against 2 offenses that should be pretty solid. But one thing that I didn't mention when I handicapped that game last week was Jared Goff is 0 for 19 in games where he doesn't either have Sean McVay as his head coach or Ben Johnson as his OC. When he has neither of those 2 guys, which I don't think he's ever had both of them together, but when he has neither of those 2 guys, he's never won a football game. So that is insane. I mean, do I think they're going to lose to the Bears? Not really, but I mean, it's something to be on the lookout for. I mean, that offense looked really, really bad without Ben Johnson there. I know Detroit, I mean, they have a lot of talent still. They shouldn't be this bad. I thought they would take a little bit of a step back from last year, though, losing both their offensive and defensive coordinators. What's even more interesting, though, is that Ben Johnson, defensive coordinator last year of the Lions, he's the head coach of the Bears here now. So this is the battle of the Ben Johnson. Johnson is now going to be facing his former team. So that might actually give Chicago a little bit of an edge if you think about it. So I know Detroit, they're going to know what Johnson did, as an OC, but Johnson has been in that Detroit locker room, man. So I think his information is actually more valuable. Like, he knows what Dan Campbell does. He knows how this Detroit team operates, man. So you got to think about that. I think Ben Johnson might have some inside information here that the Bears can actually use. Detroit will show up. I mean, it was an embarrassing loss for them in week 1, even though I know it was against a good Green Bay team. But they're going to show up as well. They're going to want to bounce back from that. And you remember the last time they played the Bears here, they almost blew the game. It was that Thanksgiving game last year, which I believe was actually the first time Jared Goff had actually won on Thanksgiving. I think they showed that in the Netflix quarterback documentary. Goff, because he was talking about, one of my dreams was to win on Thanksgiving and eat that turkey, and I was finally able to do it. I'm like, that's crazy that Detroit hadn't won a Thanksgiving game with him until then, because he had been there for a while, and they always host a Thanksgiving game. That was the first one they won, and they almost blew it. So they might be thinking about that, too. They had some bad clock management at the end of that game, I think, from Chicago. Chicago had some bad clock management, and that kind of saved Detroit in that game. So Detroit had a big lead in that game, and they almost blew it. So Detroit will still show up here, but as crazy as it sounds, I would lean to the Bears in this game slightly, plus the points. You're getting line value because the line moved multiple points off of where the number was before the week 1 games happened. So there's no real good reason for the line to move like that. And again, with the Ben Johnson inside information, even though the Bears are on a short week, the short week is a little bit easier to overcome when you're used to going to that place, right? So the Bears, they're only going from Chicago to Detroit. It's a short travel. They play at Detroit every year, so they're used to that travel spot. So I don't think it will be as bad having that like 1 day fewer prep time. When it's a divisional matchup and you're that familiar with that travel, with that location, with that opponent, I think it's, it is a little bit of an easier spot to overcome there for the Bears being on the short week. Seahawks, Steelers, I can tell you that a lot of professionals like the Seahawks in this one, plus the points. It won't be a play for me. The Steelers are up from 2.5 to 3 here, going through that key number 3. You might be able to get 3.5 on the Seahawks. Public are on the Steelers. They saw Aaron Rodgers light it up in week 1. 4 touchdowns in week 1 for Aaron Rodgers. I know there are not that many quarterbacks who have done that. He looked really good against what's supposed to be a pretty solid Jet defense. Rodgers, I'm a fan, man. I keep telling you, like, he just gets all this hate just because of his anti-vaccine state, like his anti-vaccine positions, I should say, and whatever. His anti-vaccine stance is what I meant to say. Whatever. He's still a good quarterback. He wasn't even bad last year, man. So he lit it up. So the public's on the Steelers here. 74% of tickets, only 69% of the cash. Public doesn't like what they saw out of the Seahawks. I mean, they see the Steelers score 30 whatever points, and they see against the Jets, and they see the Seahawks only score like 13 or whatever in their game. So the public's going to be on that. They want to be on that team that scored more points. They want to be on the Aaron Rodgers side here. I can understand the professional money disagreeing with that, and I'll probably agree with that. I'll lean that way. It's a low total, too. It's all the way down to 40. So it's one of the lower totals of the week. It might be the lowest, actually, of the weeks. That's a pretty low NFL total. So the odds makers are telling you they don't think the Steelers are going to light it up offensively this time. The Seahawks do have a fairly solid defense, and they have a defensive-minded coach. Their coach, I forgot who it was last week. It's McDonald, I think. Is it Mike McDonald? There's Mike McDaniel. There's Mike McDonald. Not the guy from the Mo was Mike McDonald and the Doobie Brothers. Did I get that right? I don't even remember, but not him. He used to be the defensive coordinator of the Ravens, and they had a really solid defense. So he's brought a defensive mindset to the Seahawks, even though I think the Seahawks offense is miserable. I don't think Sam Darnold is good. I don't like that offense at all. But their defense could keep them in this game, and I don't think the Steelers are going to light it up on offense the way they did against the Jets. I do think it's kind of a letdown spot as well for the Steelers. That was a big game. I didn't realize that Aaron Rodgers would be that pumped up to beat the Jets, man. I thought Justin Fields was going to have that chip on his shoulder playing against the Steelers because the Steelers stopped playing him and then let him go. I thought Rodgers wouldn't be as pissed at the Jets, but Aaron Rodgers, after the game, man, he confirmed that he wanted to beat the Jets. He was angry about it. So I think it's a bit of a letdown spot for the Steelers after that, man. You do have to look at who these teams are playing next week, too, in some cases, because you might have a look-ahead spot and whatever. So, there isn't really one for the Steelers here. They play New England next week. That's not really going to be a game they're going to look ahead to. Yes, this is their home opener. It'll be the Aaron Rodgers home opener, so there are some things that should still motivate them here. It's Seattle going to the East Coast. I know people talk about these West Coast teams going east to play these 1 p.m. games. It's like at a 10 a.m. time on their biological clock. But I always say that that's not actually that much of a factor. These West Coast teams going east to play the 1 p.m. games, that's not as bad as the East Coast teams going west to play on a primetime night game. That's really where the biological clock factor fucks you when you're playing a game late, towards midnight your time. These early start times are not as bad because you wake up, you prepare, you're ready to go, right? Your energy is there, you know what I mean? You have the energy in the morning. The problem with those late games, your energy is kind of dropping, right? Because you've been awake for, a lot of the day. So that's kind of the issue there, I think. Because I keep seeing it happen. So, and Seattle, by the way, I know they have different personnel now, but Seattle has been a team that's actually been a really good road team. They've been particularly good at winning these East Coast games. Maybe it was the Pete Carroll factor, though, because Pete Carroll was able to do it with Las Vegas last week against the Patriots. So maybe it was him that knew how to coach his team to get those wins. But Seattle generally has been good in those spots. So do with that information what you will, I guess. But it looks like it's going to be a low-scoring defensive slugfest, which I thought was going to be the case with the Steelers game last week. It wasn't. But yeah, I will agree with the professionals. I will lean to Seattle, but man, do I hate Seattle's offense. And I worry about Seattle a little bit because they're coming off a big game against the 49ers, man. That was a big divisional game. That was their home opener of the season, and they could have won that game. I don't know if you saw how that game ended, but Seattle did get outplayed. So Seattle lost the game on turnovers to some extent, but they got outplayed in the game as well. San Francisco, yeah, they outgained Seattle, I think, by over 100 yards in the game. So San Francisco should have won the game more easily. But San Francisco lost a bunch of their players in the game. I think they lost their best offensive lineman, Trent Williams. I don't know if he's coming back. We'll talk about that when we talk about the San Francisco-New Orleans game. So he's potentially injured right now. Brock Purdy got injured. He's not going to play this week. Greg Kittle George Kittle. Why do I keep saying Greg? It's George, right? George Kittle got hurt, so he's the star tight end for the 49ers. I don't think he's playing this week. So San Francisco had a lot of their guys go down, man. So they were injured. And then Seattle still blew the game at the end. Seattle was down inside the San Francisco 10-yard line, I think, at the end of the game. And there was a play that Seattle had where one of their offensive linemen got too close to Sam Darnold. I think Darnold went to throw the ball and his arm hit his own offensive lineman. It was a fumble, and the 49ers recovered it, and that's basically how they won the game, which is ridiculous. So that's how they lost the game. They were going to take the lead late in the game and fumbled it over and wound up losing the game that way. But that's a brutal loss. It's a big divisional matchup. So Seattle going out on the road. And, if you watch my show, I do talk about road non-conference games are the games that matter the least on your schedule because the conference record is a tiebreaker when it comes to the playoffs. So the teams aren't thinking about that early in the season, really. But road conference games are the games that you can kind of afford to let slip a little bit. And they're going to be the games where you're the least familiar with going to that venue, right? So Seattle, they don't play in Pittsburgh very often, so they're not going to be that familiar with going there. So those are some drawbacks. And again, they could be in a bit of a hangover spot after a big divisional game in their home opener. So those are my thoughts on that game. I worry a bit about the Seattle spot there, but I know the professionals are on Seattle, and I will generally agree with that. Doobie Brothers, yeah. And they do Black Water, right? Oh, black water, keep on rolling. Yeah, I mean that song rules, man. It's really good for acapella. We should have done that in my acapella groups, which I was in a bunch of them, but I don't think we ever did. You don't want to play the Seattle game. Yeah, I mean, that's a stay away. 49ers Saints to finish the 1 p.m. slate, except for the best bets that I'll have at the end of the show. 49ers were going to be a 7-point favorite, but obviously this line has moved to 3 because of their injuries. So I always talk about the injured player theory, man. So when you have a star player. I don't know if we consider Brock Purdy to be a star, but he is their quarterback. And when you have a player like that go down, the line has to move, and usually it overreacts. So a lot of times you want to look to play on that team. It's the injured player spot. So basically, the theory is that you're getting value on the team whose player just went down just that first game without the player. Like moving forward, you don't get value anymore on that team, but just that first game, the line will overreact because that player is out, and the team will step up their like gameplay. Like they know they have to play like harder to compensate for that player being out. So it is an injured player spot for the 49ers, but they're missing multiple players here. They're missing Kittle, and they're potentially missing Trent Williams. So you got to see if he's going to be back, because if he's gone, their offensive line is going to suffer a bit. And we do have another issue, I would say, because Brock Purdy's backup, the quarterback for the 49ers in this game, is going to be Mac Jones. So, man, I mean, if you want to play on the injured player theory spot and you want to go with the 49ers, you got to deal with Mac Jones as your quarterback, and he sucks. I mean, we saw him on the Patriots. We saw him on the Jags. I know those teams weren't that good when he was on those teams, but, man, he's not good, and he's going to be the quarterback for the 49ers here. So, of Blackwater, yeah, I might be able to do that on ukulele. I wouldn't be able to get all the like different vocal parts in the acapella stuff though. Like I'd just be doing it solo, so you don't get the like back and forth like vocal harmony. It almost kind of turns into like a fugue type of thing or whatever. So the 49ers have dropped to -3. So yeah, debatably there is line value there, but 72% of the tickets, only 70% of the cash on the 49ers. So they are very public. So the public is not dissuaded by betting on Mac Jones. I think it's because they're fading the Saints. They know the Saints are the Aints this year. So the public is basically saying we don't want any part of the Saints here regardless. 72% of tickets, only 70% of the cash on San Francisco. So, man, I mean, as ridiculous as it sounds, I might still lean to the New Orleans side in that one. Even getting the fewer points there, getting the 3 there, I might still lean that way. And the spot isn't really that great for the 49ers as far as the fact that they're coming off that big divisional win over Seattle. They have to travel from Seattle to New Orleans. And then they do have another divisional game in their home opener next week against Arizona. Although we don't really know if Arizona's any good at this point. But it is a bit of a divisional sandwich for San Francisco there. New Orleans, they're obviously not good, though. But can they hold within this number? Maybe. With San Francisco having all those offensive injuries, Mac Jones might not be scoring a lot, so maybe the Saints will be able to do it. I mean, they almost covered last week against Arizona. They just missed by about a half point on the closing line, at least. I think the closing line was 6.5 there. I know the Saints aren't good, but, I mean, Spencer Rattler, he's still probably worse than Mac Jones, and he's less experienced than Mac Jones, but this could be a pretty ugly, low-scoring game. This is going to be a real ugly offensive game, I think. This totals all the way down to 40.5, too, I think, because of the 49ers' injuries and whatever. The money's coming back on the over, though, thinking that maybe that's a little bit of an overreaction. But, yeah, it is looking like it could be a pretty ugly game, which does mean that the points are at least worth more as well. So that's one of the games that I like the least on the entire card here, though. A lot of underdogs. Yeah, well, I mean, my plays are all going to be underdogs, man. I'm going to be on all home underdogs, which I like more, man. So that's what we're going to be doing. And I believe I'm going to be going on they're not all 0-1 teams against 1-0 teams, though. But I think 2 of the 3 are. You kind of know what they are already anyway, though. Starting the 4 p.m. slate, Panthers, Cardinals. The Cardinals have gone up from 4.5 to 7, although some of that movement was, again, from the look ahead, I guess, was 4.5. So it does look like the line moved too much based on what we saw last week. And the Cardinals were not impressive. I mean, they won at New Orleans, but they didn't win that handily, even though they wound up covering at the end. But they didn't look that good. The Panthers looked even worse, though. The Panthers, their offense really struggled against the Jaguars. They did not look good in that game. So I think the line moving to 7 was almost entirely because the Panthers looked so bad. And the public is heavily on Arizona. 91% of tickets, 92% of the cash, though. So it looks like maybe some of the professional money might actually be joining the public on Arizona here. I don't know if I see it. I mean, I don't know if I would lean that way myself. Arizona, they have a big game up next, like I told you, against San Francisco. So it is kind of a look-ahead spot for Arizona here. It is still their home opener. Not really thinking they're going to lose the game. I mean, it is Carolina. They do have to go out to Arizona. It's not really an easy thing for Carolina to do. It's not a late night game, at least, though, or anything like that. It's a later afternoon game. Carolina, they will want to bounce back. I mean, they didn't look good, but they are playing a second straight road game, too. So not really that easy of a spot for Carolina, so maybe I'm safe if I'm going to do Arizona and Survivor. I said that I was going to do Arizona last week at Survivor, and I went with the Jags last week, actually, so I went against the grain with that one. I liked the line movement on the Jags. I went with the Jags, but do I go against Carolina again in Survivor this week and use Arizona? I might, because they don't really have much future value at this point, so it's a tough Survivor pick, man. I mean, the obvious pick is Baltimore, but then you use Baltimore, which you probably want to save Baltimore for a better spot. So, man, I mean, it's pretty difficult, but I really think that maybe Arizona is like the only other play that even really makes a whole lot of sense this week, which is, pretty ugly. But, I mean, I think that might be the way to do it. I'm not sure the Panthers are as bad as they look. I mean, Bryce Young didn't really have it in the last game, but he showed signs of improvement last year, and he's got some young talent around him on that offense. So the Panthers' defense is bad, though. So, I mean, I'll probably still slightly lean to the Panthers there just because I fade the public more often than not, and we know there is probably a little bit of line value there again. But, man, the Cardinals should be able to score against the Panthers, though. Their defense is pretty ugly. Although, interestingly, the total did drop in that game, though. But it looks like some of the money is coming back in on the over, so I don't really have a feel for that total at all. Broncos, Colts, so this is Cole's favorite team, the Broncos, against my favorite team, the Colts. The Broncos beat the Colts last year, I believe, in Denver, if I'm not mistaken. I think I gave out a play on the Colts in that game, and the Colts lost the game on turnovers, man. So it is revenge for the Colts here, although I don't think revenge really matters much, just because the Colts lost to the Broncos last year in the middle of the season. I don't think that really matters. But the money is coming in towards the Colts, even though you'd think that the public would kind of overreact in the direction of the Colts, right? Because they slaughtered Miami in week 1, but the public is still not buying it, man. The public is buying the Broncos going to the playoffs last year. They're buying Bo Nix, even though the Broncos didn't really look that good offensively last week. The Titans' defense was pretty impressive. The Titans' defense looks like it's decent, man. That was a tough spot for the Titans to go on the road like that, and the Titans hung in that game. The Broncos were only winning that game by 1 late in the game. They wound up scoring a touchdown to push it to 8 late in the game. Titans still covered the larger spreads that were out there. But the Titans played solid defense there, man. Broncos have a solid defense as well, but the Broncos have dropped from 3 to 1 here. And I think some of that, in this case, that might actually be a legitimate movement. So we know that does mean that the opener was a 3-point line there, basically. But I think some of this is real money coming in on the Colts because we see 64% of the tickets on the Broncos, but 56% of the cash coming in on the Colts. The money kind of coming in on the Colts, even though, again, you'd think that it might be a little bit of an overreaction because the Colts looked really good against Miami. But I did tell you they dominated that game statistically. So maybe the Colts defense is actually solid. So maybe it's not just Miami. Maybe Miami's offense doesn't stink that much. Maybe the Colts defense, there is something to be said there for them holding that Miami offense so far down in that game. Yes, I know the Colts did also benefit from some turnovers in that game as well. And the Colts, I think, committed some turnovers themselves in that game, so they're going to have to clean that up a little bit. But the Colts, they're looking like they might not be that bad with Daniel Jones at quarterback, man. I mean, the public is still not wanting to take Jones. I mean, he's seemingly basically been written off, but he's at least better than Mac Jones. He's the better of the two Joneses. We're going to be Jonesing tomorrow, hopefully for my purposes, because I'm probably going to be leaning against Mac Jones and towards Daniel Jones. So hopefully for my picks and whatever in my pools, hopefully we get the better performance out of Daniel Jones in this one. But he looked fine with Indy, in week 1. It was against a bad defense, though. So, of course, the one issue here with Indy is this is a much more difficult defense to face. Denver is a way better defense than Miami, that's for sure. So it's a more difficult game, though. It is a more difficult game, but I think there's some reason for all this money to have been I can't even talk anymore. There is some reason that we're seeing all this money having come in on Indy, though. So I will lean that way. You know me. I mean, I'm going to lean basically to the market, reading every single game here. And that's the way it is. It's my autism, too. So that's that game. Eagles-Chiefs is a pretty interesting one, man. The line looks like it flipped from the Eagles plus 1.5 to -1. So the Eagles are a favorite at Arrowhead, which seems pretty crazy. Mr. Jones and Toad, yeah. We're gonna be Jones in a bit tomorrow, I guess. That's he's my guy now because I'm a Colts fan, so I guess Jones has to be my guy. It's interesting that the Eagles are a favorite in this one, man. I mean, should they be? Because last we saw the Eagles, Chiefs, these teams aren't that much different, really, the Eagles versus the Chiefs, right? Although some of it maybe because the Chiefs do have some injuries. We know Xavier Worthy got injured stupidly because he's on my fantasy team and he was in my lineup last week. Gets injured on the first play of the game. Basically, Travis Kelce runs into him, injured his shoulder. He's listed as like doubtful, I think, or maybe questionable, but I don't think he's going to play. I mean, I think he's going to miss multiple more weeks, so he's not going to be there. But would Worthy being out really mean that the Eagles should be a 1-point road favorite? I don't think so. And they opened plus 1.5 before last week's games were played, I think. So the line hasn't moved that much. It's still basically a pick the winner. The Eagles are public, 65% of tickets, only 65% of the cash, but only. But we see basically the same number on the tickets and cash. So I think the Eagles are public. I do lean to the Chiefs in this one, man. I mean, this is Super Bowl revenge for the Chiefs. So, I mean, revenge a lot of times doesn't matter, but you know Super Bowl revenge matters. The last time we saw these two teams played each other in the Super Bowl, and the Eagles blew out the Chiefs, right? So that's what the public is going to remember. They're going to see what these teams did in week 1. The Eagles beat the Cowboys. Everybody saw that. The Chiefs looked ugly in that Brazil game, lost to the Chargers. The public is off the Chiefs bandwagon now, man. I think that is the spot where you want to actually come in on the Chiefs. I actually think the Chiefs have the better defense here, at least. And you know I tend to lean towards the better defense. The Eagles, their defense lost a lot of guys that they had last year, man. So I think their defense is not really as good this year as it was last year. So the Chiefs, you're basically getting them as a home underdog in revenge with the better defense. I actually think that may be the way to look here, man, as ugly as that may sound. I think that is the right lean here. The only issue I have with that is that Kansas City is returning from Brazil. So, you know, that's a difficult travel spot. I mean, these teams are not used to that. They played that tough divisional game in week 1 in Brazil, and now they have to come back. It is their home opener, so there is that. So they'll be pumped. I mean, they're obviously going to be pumped up for it. I mean, they're going to be focused. They want Super Bowl revenge. The Eagles do have an extra time off too, though. I know the Eagles will still be focused too. It's a big game for both teams here. But the Eagles, will their extra time off really help them? I'm not really sure about that because they are coming off that big divisional win. I mean, the Eagles and the Cowboys hate each other. So coming off that game, even with extra rest, I don't think the teams use that extra rest properly necessarily. But again, the Eagles did look good winning that game, even though the public wasn't really that high on Dallas, but still a pretty big divisional game there. And the public's just off the Chiefs because the Chiefs did not look good. Losing to the Chargers, and the public doesn't think that highly of the Chargers, and I think the Chargers continue to be undervalued. Anyway, all of that being said, I do like the Chiefs in that one. That one was close to being a play for me, actually. It's just I really don't like the travel spot returning from Brazil, so I worry about that quite a bit. Oh, the Counting Crows song. Yeah, I don't remember too much about the Counting Crows, even though I grew up through like the 90s, whatever. They were not my thing, really. They were not my jam. But I do remember that song, though. We got Sunday night Falcons Vikings. This is an interesting game because this is the college football national championship rematch. So how much does that matter? I don't know. But this is J.J. McCarthy against Michael Penix Jr. And if you remember, that was the quarterback matchup in the college football national championship 2 years ago when it was Michigan against Washington. And these were the two quarterbacks. So how insane is that? These two quarterbacks get to play each other. McCarthy for the Vikings at home in his home opener against Michael Penix on the road. Penix, he only played one game on the road so far. He's played, I believe, 4 NFL games now, but only one of them has been on the road, which was last year. And he played okay in the game. It was against Washington, and if you remember, I had a play on the Falcons in that game, and the Falcons were an underdog on the road, and they took it into overtime, and they still didn't cover. I think they were like a 4.5-point underdog, and they lost by 6 in overtime. I was very pissed about that one. Should have been a win for me. Should have been a cover for me on that one. So Penix did fine in that game, but will Penix be able to do well against this Vikings defense, though? I don't know, man. This is a solid Vikings defense, but the money is coming in towards the Falcons. The Vikings are down from 4.5 to 3 here, so the money has moved towards the Falcons. 58% of tickets, 76% of the cash coming in on Atlanta. Interesting. I mean, the Vikings have the better defense, but they are laying points. The Falcons probably have the better offense. The Vikings, I mean, they're still going to be going through some growing pains there with McCarthy there. I know they have some, he definitely has a strong supporting cast around him, though Addison or whatever his name is. Is it Addison or Allison? I always forget which one it is. He's still out. He's on my fantasy team, too, waiting for him to come back from suspension. Falcons, I think, do have the more talented offense, though. Penix has a little bit more experience than McCarthy, at least, and he's got, Bijan Robinson. He's one of the best running backs in the game, really. And Drake London's really, really good as well. Very, very good wide receiver and big. Justin Jefferson, big, not bigger, but better for the Vikings. But still, Falcons, they got some good offensive weapons, man. Money is coming in that way. So maybe also thinking that Penix will get his revenge against McCarthy. And I mean, I think he will have that somewhere in his mind there. Hey, like I get to face McCarthy again, this time on the NFL stage, and I get to get revenge against him. It's an interesting scenario, man. In Minnesota, I mean, some of the reason why Minnesota's being faded by the money here is probably because they're coming off the Monday night game. So everybody saw that. They made a huge comeback. J.J. McCarthy looked pretty good in the game. So everybody saw that, and now they're traveling on a short week. I know it's home, they get to play their home opener here, but short week, if everybody, the whole nation, basically saw you play well on Monday night, then you go on a short week, that isn't the easiest spot. So that's probably part of the reason why the money's coming on Atlanta. Although Atlanta, they were one of my picks last week. They were in my money, like pick 5 for the NFL, and they lost the game. They should have won that game, man. They were in that game. They had the lead late in the game. They wound up blowing the lead really late in the game. And then they had the chance at the game-time field goal at the end, and Koo blew it from 44 yards out. Koo might not be good anymore, man. I don't know. Koo is not Koo with me anymore, man. Yeah, we're no longer cooing for Koo. That sucked. They could have sent it into overtime. It looked like the Falcons were going to win that game. That was a big divisional matchup for the Falcons, man, although it was revenge for Tampa because the Falcons actually, I believe, beat Tampa both times they played them last year and still didn't win the division. And I think those are both with Kirk Cousins, which I don't even know if Kirk Cousins is still on the Falcons. I said that they'd kept him, but I don't even know if he's actually still there because I heard somebody say that they cut him. I don't know if that happened or not, but it is Penix's team now. But the Falcons are still coming off that tough divisional game that was a really tough loss, and they are having to go on the road to a place they are not too familiar with playing in Minnesota. So that's not going to be a play for me, but the money is saying Falcons plus the points there. I mean, generally I will lean towards fading a team that won on Monday night more often than not. So potentially we'd be looking in that direction. But I think it's a better spot to fade a team that played on Monday night if they're going to play like in the middle of the afternoon on Sunday in a game that isn't like a huge game. Like this is another primetime game, so it's a game that the Vikings have to get up for again. You know what I mean? So it's not a game that they might like just overlook also on a short week, So they should still get up for it, and at least they get a little bit of extra rest than they would if they were playing in the afternoon, right? Because they get to at least wait to play at night. So there is that too. Yeah, Younghoe Koo is his name now. He is insane. And then we got 2 Monday night games. The Monday night doubleheader. I'm going to have a play on the second one, on the late night one, which I like quite a bit. The first game I'm not going to do, but we do have Buccaneers at Texans. Texans are up from 2 to 2.5 with juice. The money's coming in on the Texans. I agree with it. 60% of tickets on Tampa, 57% of the cash coming in on the Texans. Public doesn't want anything to do with the Texans at this point, man. They like Baker Mayfield. They know the Buccaneers have been in the playoffs multiple years in a row. They like that Bucks offense with, Mike Evans, and I think Godwin might still be out, so you got to keep that in mind. Chris Godwin has been hurt. I think he's going to miss a bunch of weeks, actually. I think he might be out until, like, the middle of the season, so that's something to keep in mind there for Tampa Bay. But they have other offensive weapons. Of course, they have a decent rushing attack as well. And the public does not want anything to do with this Texans offense. And I know I gave out a play on the Texans last week because I liked their defense. And their offense was not very good. I mean, they did score 3 times, but I think they only scored field goals in the game, which was not good. Texans are lacking right now. It looks like they're going to be without Mixon, their running back, and Tank Dell, one of their best wide receivers for maybe the majority of the season, if not the full season. That would really suck. Dell missing multiple seasons in a row. That's insane. I had him on my fantasy team last year when he got hurt, by the way. Texans do have Christian Kirk, and I forget who else. They picked up one other wide receiver as well, and those guys are both hurt as well. So they're basically Nico Collins and company. I don't even know who else they have there. So the Texans have a depleted offense, but their defense is good. And you know me, I tend to lean towards the team with the better defense, and that is the Texans, although they are laying points here. The Buccaneers defense I don't think is as good. And the Buccaneers secondary isn't that good, so maybe the Texans with C.J. Stroud there, even though he doesn't have that many weapons with him, maybe they will be able to take advantage of a Buccaneers defense that isn't really that good, although I wasn't really sold on the Rams defense last week either, and the Texans couldn't really do that much against them. But money's coming in on the Texans. I'll lean to the Texans there. I mean, the Buccaneers are playing a non-conference road game, and you remember what I just said about non-conference road games. Those are the games that mean the least on your schedule. So sometimes those teams don't show up, although I think they will show up because it is Monday night. So you're going to show up for a Monday night game typically, but it is a second straight road game for Tampa as well. So makes it a more difficult spot coming off a big divisional win, and it was double revenge as well in that divisional win. Houston, they are traveling back from the Pacific Coast, but this is their home opener. They didn't look good in week 1, so maybe a bit of an overreaction from the public to what we saw in week 1 as well there. And it's one of those games where it's a 1-0 team against an 0-1 team, remember? So let's actually try to run down which of these games are 1-0 versus 0-1. Trying to figure out. So Ravens-Browns is one of them. Or no, Ravens-Lost. What am I saying? What the fuck am I saying? There aren't that many, actually. Rams-Titans is one. The Rams are 1-0. Titans are 0-1. Bills-Jets is one. The Bills are 1-0. The Jets are 0-1. Steelers-Seahawks is one. The Steelers are 1-0. Seahawks are 0-1. Niners-Saints. Niners are 1-0. Saints are 0-1. Panthers-Cardinals is one. Panthers 0-1. Cardinals 1-0. Eagles-Chiefs. Eagles are 1-0. Chiefs are 0-1. Falcons-Vikings is one. Vikings are 1-0. Falcons are 0-1. So, and I lean to all the 0-1 teams. Go figure. All the 0-1 teams are the market reads in those. And then also Texans 0-1 against Tampa Bay 1-0. I think I got all that right. And then we're going to talk about the bets that we have. Are we ready for this? It's the best bets segment now, man. And then we'll get out of here. It won't be too long of a video. Let's do it, man. I don't know if you guys are going to love any of these, to be honest. The first one up is going to be the Tennessee Titans. You knew this was coming. Home underdogs, baby. Home underdogs are the theme. I love these home underdogs. And this is one of the 0-1 teams against a 1-0 team. We're going to take the Tennessee Titans plus 5.5. This is one of the few lines that actually hasn't moved at all. So interesting that basically it's just sitting there in no man's land. Public is coming in on the Rams. 73% of tickets on the Rams. Only 57% of the cash, though. So the money is coming in on the Titans. I know we do have to worry about Cam Ward. He wasn't very good against Denver in week 1. Denver's a good defense. The Rams' defense is probably not as good as Denver's is, so maybe Ward gets a little bit of a reprieve there. It is Ward's home opener here, though, man, so it's going to be a big game for the Titans. They're getting a ton of points, and the Rams' offense really, really struggled last week, man. I mean, I know it was a good defense with Houston, but the Titans, they look like they have a pretty good defense too, man. We're getting maybe the better defense, and the Titans getting points at home. That's something I'm always going to look for as well. Titans defense held them in that game against Denver, and I know it's a little bit of a tough spot to travel back out of elevation when the Titans did play tough as like the biggest underdog of the week last week. A lot of times I won't want to play a team that, like almost took like a better team to their limit, but I don't know if the Titans were like that up. Like it wasn't like a huge game necessarily playing Denver, really. It was Cam Ward's first game, but I think the Titans, they're going to want to show up for this home opener, man. They're not going to overlook the Rams. And for the Rams, again, I will point out, This is an out-of-conference road game, so those are the games that mean the least on your schedule. The Rams won their home opener. I know that wasn't a big game for them necessarily against Houston, but they won the home opener. I'm not sold on the Rams offense, and I told you in that game, Matthew Stafford has a bad back, dude. So I don't know how good Matthew Stafford really is right now, and he didn't play in preseason. So these Sean McVay teams, sometimes they start slow because they don't play their starters in preseason. And who do the Rams play next, by the way? This is a major, major look-ahead spot for the Rams. They play the Philadelphia Eagles in Philadelphia next. They might be looking right past Tennessee to Philadelphia, man, because that is a huge game. That is playoff revenge, and it's at the scene of the crime. If you remember, the Rams got knocked out of the playoffs last year by the Eagles at Philadelphia. So I think they're going to want to show up for that. And I think it's actually double revenge as well, because I think Philly went to the Rams last year and blew them out in LA too, if I'm not mistaken, in a very high-scoring game, where I think I was on the Rams in that game at the Rams, and I lost on that one. And then I think I was on Philadelphia in the playoff game, and Philadelphia didn't cover, I think so. Oh, no, they did. I think they did, right? They barely covered, or maybe it was a push. I don't remember, whatever it was, but that is a huge game. You know that the Rams have that thing circled, man. Playoff revenge. It's one of the only revenge scenarios that really matters a lot in the NFL. Playing not only the team that ended your season, but the Super Bowl champions. Yeah, the Rams, I think they're going to look past Tennessee, man. I think Tennessee will show up. I think their defense can hold them in this game. This is a low total. It's all the way down from 45.5 to 41.5. The money, it looks like it's come in pretty significantly on the under. So expecting a low-scoring game here, not a lot of offense. And you know when that's the case, points matter more as well. So we will go with the Titans plus the points there. You know, my NFL plays are super ugly, man. Oh, thank you. Yeah, the best bets. That's the, I'll show it one more time. Yeah, the toe just looks cool there. Like, check it out, baby. These are going to be all my losers. Next up, this one you might hate even more, by the way. I don't know if this number is still around, but it's going to be the Jets +7. We get a home opener. We get a, not a home opener, but a home underdog, that is actually staying at home this week. I don't know if you can still get the 7, but I still might do it at 6.5. I think there's still 6.5s out there right now. The 7s got chewed up, man, but I got to, just throw out these plays on my midweek shows, man. I should just be like, hey, I think this line's going to drop, so go out and get the Jets +7. There's a chance you might be able to get the 7. There's no reason to play it right now if there's no 7 out there, because come tomorrow, the public's on the Bills. We're fading the Bills here. Yeah, I know. This doesn't seem like a good idea. I get it. 77% of tickets are on the Bills. Only 65% of the cash, so the Bills, very public. They've dropped from 8 to 6 through that very key number 7. So that is a pretty significant line move when it goes through a key number against the public action. And you know that was an actual move. That was not an overreaction, because the overreaction would move the number the number would move towards the Bills, right? After seeing what they did last week. So this is a real legit move on the Jets, in my opinion. You're getting an 0-1 team as a big home underdog. This is a big divisional game for the Jets. I think it matters more to the Jets than it does to the Bills. The Bills are on a short week. I think they're in a letdown spot because, again, they're coming off that absurd comeback against Baltimore, man, on Sunday night. Monster win for Buffalo. I don't know. I still don't know how they came back and they won that game. And in addition to them being in a big, letdown spot potentially after that huge win on primetime, again, as I told you, they got outplayed in this game. Actually, maybe I'm wrong. They got outplayed for most of the game, but the Bills did actually wind up outgaining Baltimore. I didn't think they did, but I guess Baltimore did wind up getting outgained. Baltimore did turn the ball over. Baltimore did have more penalties, whatever. So the Bills did actually beat them, but whatever. It still stands. What I said still stands, that it's a huge letdown spot for Buffalo. The Jets tend to always play Buffalo pretty tough at home, man. Last year, Buffalo only won the game by 3 at the Jets, and I was pissed because I had the Jets. I'm pretty sure I had the Jets +2.5 in that game, or maybe it was closer to a pick 'em, but I was pissed in that game, and I had the Jets in that game. The Jets were barely letting me down every single week, man. I had the Jets as plays maybe 4 times, and they just barely missed the number. And, Aaron Rodgers doing that to me, one of my favorite guys. I'm like, come on, man. But think about what I just said, too. The Jets were like almost a pick 'em, I think, in that game against Buffalo last year. And now they're a 6.5, 7-point underdog here. Why? Like, how different are these teams from last year? I know the Jets don't have Aaron Rodgers anymore. Maybe it's a downgrade from him to Justin Fields. Okay, fine. But, I mean, is that significant enough to have this line move 6, 7 points from where it was last year? I mean, Buffalo has a similar team, although I think James Cook didn't play in that game, so he was hurt, but I think he's back now. But I don't know how significant that really is, the fact that Buffalo was missing their running back. Buffalo, it still all just kind of runs through Josh Allen. So, I mean, I just don't see it. I don't know why the line has changed that much, man. I think it's just based off of what we saw in week 1. And then, of course, the Jets. Yes, it was a big game against the Steelers. It was both quarterbacks playing against their ex-teams, Rodgers, and Justin Fields. But I think it was a misleading final result, even though Rodgers did get the win there. The Jets were winning this game, dude, from a lot of it. The Jets had a 26-17 lead going into the fourth quarter. So a little bit misleading in my opinion there. The Jets outgained Pittsburgh 394 to 271. So that Jet offense surprisingly actually moved the ball well against a Pittsburgh defense that's supposed to be pretty good. The Jets defense actually did pretty well. Even though I know Aaron Rodgers, it was all about Aaron Rodgers, 4 touchdowns, whatever. Pittsburgh didn't gain a lot of yards, only 271. So the Jets totally outplayed Pittsburgh statistically, and they wound up losing the game. They were -1 in turnovers. They had more first downs. They had more time of possession. So, yeah, I mean, they were better on third down as well. Jets got penalized more. But, yeah, the Jets, I think they're flying a little bit under the radar, and I think they're better than people think. You're getting all these points again, and I think you're getting the better defense with the Jets. The Bills have kind of improved their defense a bit, but you see that defense for the Bills give up a lot of points sometimes against some of the better offenses. I know the Jets are not one of the better offenses, but still, they can put up some points against Buffalo's defense, I think. Jets, I think, are the better defense at home, so as ugly as it is, we'll go Jets +7. You could take the +6, 6.5, like I said. I would wait, though, see if the 7 comes back at some point because they will be the anti-public side there. Oh, thank you, sir. That's the rizzed out toad in the graphic there. You didn't bet on the fight, Canelo. What were the odds on it? You bet on the Bills. You better have gotten the better number at least. You better have laid like 6 or 6.5 with that. But yeah, I like the Jets quite a bit, plus the points in that one. I think the Jets have a decent chance to actually win that game outright, to be honest. I think that game's going to go to the wire. I think it's going to be close. And I think it'll be lower scoring. So I would actually say an under. Let's look at what is the total doing in this game, because I would say an under could potentially be worth a look here. The total is very public, although it did go up from 44.5 to 47.5. Some of that might have been overreacting. Like, let me see. The total in this game was going to be, I'm looking at the look-ahead line right now. Where is it? Yeah, it was 44.5, so that was the look-ahead. So why did the line on the total go up to 47.5? The public is on at 88% of tickets, 95% of the cash on the over. But both teams played such ridiculous high-scoring games last week. I think there might be some value playing that game under, too. Again, I mean, those games were just so high-scoring last week. So, yeah. And the Bills, by the way, I don't think it's really a look-ahead. I should have mentioned the Bills do play the Dolphins after this, so I don't know. I don't know if they're going to pay more attention to Miami than to the Jets. I mean, Miami looked like ass, so maybe not. So I don't think it's a look-ahead, but I do think it is a major letdown spot at the very least. What were the odds on Canelo? I'm going to look right now, actually. And you said you bet on him? I don't even know. But he's the guy that has all the name recognition, right? So he was a -200 favorite, but it got bet all the way down to -150, it looks like. So, yeah, I don't know, man. It looks like the money came in on Crawford. Is that who he's up against? So, and when you see that, you see line movement going against the guy who's the name that everybody knows. Everybody knows the name, Canelo Alvarez. Everybody knows him. So when you see the line move against him like that, that's some significant movement. So the professional bettors, I think, were betting on Crawford, I think is his name there. So I can tell you that much just by reading some of the reports there about what happened with the betting market. Maybe I should just bet fights because I could just bet like what the market is doing. But you might not be able to win doing that because once you see the market having moved too much, if you chase, and you get the worst number every time, you're not getting the best value that you could have. Let's finish this off, man. And this is my favorite of the week, is my last bet of the week here. My favorite one is the Las Vegas Raiders plus 3.5. It might be at 3 right now. 3.5. Either way, you could do it. I think it is 3.5 out there right now. If you don't get it now, this is a Monday night game, so you could probably get it on Monday if you don't see it now. I love the idea of fading the Chargers in this spot, man. I think it's a terrible, terrible spot for the Chargers. This is like a mega sandwich spot for the Chargers. Like, you thought maybe the Ravens were in a sandwich spot because they're coming off that huge game against the Bills and they got the Lions next. Wait till you see this Chargers spot. And it's even worse because they have travel from Brazil. 63% of tickets, only 53% of cash. So it's, I don't know if we call that a Brazilian sandwich, but what would a Brazilian sandwich be? I mostly just know Brazilian steak, where they just feed you meat off of swords until you tell them that you can't take anymore, which I do like that concept. But I'm sure there are some Brazilian sandwiches too, which, yeah, I mean, I've known a Brazilian woman as well. So in college, she would probably be pissed at me for not knowing Brazilian cuisine better after spending quite a while hanging out with her. Chargers up from 3 to 3.5, but not a significant move there. And some of that was, I think, from the look ahead. Again, they're public, 63% of tickets, only 53% of the cash. The money looks like it is somewhat coming in on the over, but I'm not really too concerned with that because we're just fading the spot here, man. Here you go. Here's the spot for the Chargers. I know this is the one that I have that's a 1-1 team, a 1-0 team against a 1-0 team. I know. So the other two that I give out are 0-1 teams against 1-0 teams. But this Chargers spot is horrendous, man. They just got double revenge against Kansas City. They beat Kansas City. Absolutely monster divisional win there, man, on that primetime game, isolated game. Everybody was watching it in Brazil. I think it was a Friday night game. Huge win. So, yes, I know they have extra time off. They get an extra day, get an extra 2 days, I guess, because they played on Friday. But I still don't think that's going to help them, man. When you're riding that high of that big win like that, I think the extra time off might actually hurt you, and they're not used to playing in Brazil. I mean, those teams didn't play in Brazil prior to this year, so they're not used to that, man. They're coming off that win, having to do unfamiliar travel. I know this location isn't unfamiliar to them. They have to play at Vegas every year, but traveling back from Brazil, they're not used to that, man. Having to play the very next week without a bye. And then who do they have up next? On a short week? No less, it looks like, because I think they're playing Oh, yeah, it's on a short week, yeah, because they're playing Monday night this week. That's right. This is a Monday night game. So on Sunday, on a short week, they got to play Denver. That's a huge divisional matchup, man. So if they're going to, I know these are all divisional games, but if they're going to overlook one team in their division, who's it going to be? I mean, let's be real about it. They're going to overlook the Raiders if they're going to overlook one of these teams, man. Denver basically seems to be their competition as far as which one of these teams, because basically the narrative coming into the season is Kansas City is going to take a step back. I told you they would. I liked their season win total under. And then it's basically which team is going to rise up and take the division. And I said it was going to be the Chargers. Some people think it's going to be Denver. I don't. I think Bo Nix might be in a little bit of a sophomore slump. So the slump continues. So I tend to think that it's going to be the Chargers, second year under Harbaugh. They got more experience there. I tend to think it'll be them. And I like the way the Chargers play, even though I know I'm fading them here. But yeah, so I think they're going to be looking ahead to Denver, man, because basically that's that battle. Like, which team is going to replace the Chiefs? Nobody's saying it's going to be the Raiders. Nobody's going to care that the Raiders beat the Patriots. Nobody's buying into the Patriots yet. Everybody's going to see that the Chargers beat Kansas City and put way more weight on that win, right? Everybody's going to put way more stock into that win than what the Raiders did. So, yeah, huge win. So everybody's going to be talking about Denver versus the Chargers. That's going to be the battle for the division. They might look right past Vegas here. In Vegas, they have some continuity at least because they got Pete Carroll and Geno Smith, and they were together. Not sexually, not homosexually. They were together maybe they were, I don't know, in Seattle. So they at least kind of know each other there. And that helped them out in that week 1 game. They looked decent against the Patriots. But I think they're still flying under the radar because, again, nobody's really going to care that they beat the Patriots. But they did. as far as like the stats, they outstatted the Patriots in the game. They had more yardage, more first downs. The time of possession was very close. It was a fairly close game, but the Raiders got the win as the underdog. And this is going to be their home opener, man, which I think is going to be a bigger thing. I think the crowd's going to get nuts, man. It's Vegas. It's a betting town. They like having a football team there now. There's some excitement there because they got Geno there now. He's a decent quarterback with some decent experience behind him. They got Pete Carroll. He's still considered to be a really, really good coach there. So they're going to be up for it, man. It's going to be a coaching battle. Two really good coaches here. And as I was about to say, the Chargers, the way they play football, they don't win by margin a lot of times, man. I know they just beat Kansas City by 6, but they play a lot of low-scoring games. That's the way that they play. They run the football a lot. They possess the ball. They play that possession style, so they play a lot of lower-scoring games. They play good defense. They also make their defense look better than it is because they possess the ball for so long. They keep their defense fresh, keep them off the field. But that's not really a great recipe to cover as a road favorite, man. So we're getting Vegas as a home underdog here. I think the spot is just terrible for the Chargers here. I know Vegas is having to fly back from the East Coast, but I don't think that's a real big issue. I mean, this is their home opener again. I mean, this is where their home is. They'll have already gone back home. They'll have adjusted their biological clocks already. I mean, they all live out there, so it's not unfamiliar for them to be playing a late night game in the Pacific time zone. So that's going to be it, man. That's going to be on ESPN. The ESPN Monday night doubleheader. We'll take the Raiders. Get back to that silver and gold, the days of the glory days, man. The Al Davis. Now they have Mark Davis there. Mark Davis, who is one of the weirdest looking people ever. I mean, Al Davis is pretty fucking ugly, at least when he was old. But Mark Davis doesn't even look like Al Davis. He looks like what does he even look like? He looks like a Chucky doll that's been like overinflated or something. I don't even know. But that's going to do it, man. I'll let you guys go. I'll let myself go. Not getting fat, but I'm going to probably start watching some of that Cowboys documentary. And and then hopefully I get some sleep because I got to be back tomorrow because we're going to talk about baseball in the morning. And I think we got to talk about WNBA too. So, Crawford is good. Yeah, I think he's a good fighter. I don't really know who he is, but a steak sandwich, a Brazilian steak sandwich. Sleepless in Seattle. Boston Toad, I can try to turn him on a little bit, turn myself on. Ooh, that's hot. So WNBA, by the way, I did a very short WNBA playoff bracket special earlier tonight. If you missed that, everybody missed it. Nobody was in the chat. I think Nate was, so shout out to Nate. I don't know where he is right now, but he commented on something right as I had hit the end stream button. I'm like, oh, fuck. I didn't get to say hi to Nate. But yeah, you can go check that out. It's a very short video. There's not a whole lot to say about the WNBA, but I filled out my bracket. I might not have the champion that you might think because I like to go against the grain, baby. So you can go check that out. But the WNBA playoffs start tomorrow, so I got to cover that on the morning show. And I got to cover baseball, and we got to fucking improve our baseball, man. We're going to have a losing season. I mean, there's no way to really get it back at this point. So football needs to get better as well, and that would be the way that we get it back. We're decent in football today, at least. Oh, thank you, sir. Yeah, I've heard it's a good documentary, the Cowboys one, so I'm going to keep doing that. You were burning leaves, setting fire to them out in the leaf pile outside. All right, man. Thanks, Charles. You've been the only one hanging out with me tonight. On my weekly NFL show, I usually get more. It seems like I get more people for the college football show. I guess more people want to do it Friday night than Saturday night. I don't know. It's just the way that it is, but I'll be back tomorrow. We got to start getting some wins again, man. Let's turn this entire thing around. I mean, today was a decent start, so let's keep going. It's going to do it for now. Peace.